Hello viewers, Would-Be Ben here with another do-it-yourself project. Today we're in the RV and we're going to try to install a SoftStartRV on the air conditioner unit. The SoftStartRV reduces the current required to start the air conditioner by 65%. This allows you to run the air conditioner on less than a 30 amp electrical circuit. Typically, a garage outlet in a house would be put on a 20 amp circuit breaker. So this would allow you to run this off of a friend's outlet in a garage rather than having to find an actual 30 amp RV outlet. So let's see what it takes to put one of these in. Before we work on the air conditioner, we need to make sure that there's no power to it. So we're going to have to check our inverter panel to make sure that there's no power to the air conditioner. Right now the inverter panel is showing that we're on shore power. That's this light here indicating the shore power. And we'll put on the status display here. And we can see that we've got shore power providing charge to the battery and also running the loads. So we're going to need to go outside and unplug the shore power cable. That will eliminate the AC powering the RV right now. And right now the inverter is turned off. And disconnecting the shore power is just as simple as pulling the plug out of the wall here. That's our 30 amp RV circuit there. So now the RV is disconnected from power and there should be no power at the air conditioner. Removing the cover is going to require removing 4 screws. There are 2 under the back edge of the air conditioner. One here and one right here. And you're going to need to remove these 2 screws that are on the top. In order to access the wiring diagram, we need to remove this door. This requires removal of 1, 2, 3 screws. And we just got to pull this down. And here's the wiring diagram. The Soft Start tech support people are going to need to have this code number that's in the bottom corner of the wiring diagram. In this case, it's 1976A742. In order to give you the step-by-step directions on how to complete installing the SoftStartRV. Step 1 of the instructions says to route all of the wires from the SoftStart into the electrical junction box. This is the electrical junction box. There are wires coming from the air conditioner control unit entering into the junction box down below through this little grommet, but there's clearly not enough space in this grommet to pass an additional 5 or 6 conductors. So it will be necessary to drill a hole through this bulkhead here, just in front on the front edge of the junction box. This is a 1/2 inch hole that I drilled through real close to the edge here. If we come over to the other side here, we have a similar problem on this side here. You can see where the other wires enter down here. And so I had to drill another hole up here towards the top to pass the wires through. Now you have to be very careful when you're drilling this hole to make sure you don't damage any of the copper tubing that's behind here. I'll pull this panel off so that you can see what's behind all of this. I have to pull this up. We'll look inside here. So you have to be careful when you drill this hole to make sure that you don't hit any of these copper tubes behind. On the other side, you don't have to worry so much about hitting the tubing. There's nothing on that side there. The Soft Start came with a package of connectors. We've got male and female connectors, a couple of screws to mount it with, and some zip ties to secure wiring. But it does not come with any grommets, since I had to drill 2 holes in the air conditioner to get the wiring into the electrical box. I had to purchase 2 3/8-inch grommets. These will fit inside a 1/2-inch hole. So I'll fit these over the wire before I pass the wire. The Soft Start will reside in this compartment here, which is the air intake compartment of the air conditioner, and we'll have to pass these wires into the electrical box through this hole that we drilled here. So we'll put the grommets on the wires, we'll pass the wires through this hole, and then the hole here above the other wires, and then into the electrical junction box. And we're going to put this grommet in the 1/2-inch hole here. And that will protect the wiring from any chafing. When you're working in here, be careful, because all of these metal edges are really sharp, so wear gloves so you don't cut yourself. I'm going to thread these wires in through that grommet. Going from the air intake side. And it's a snug fit here. There's just barely enough room to get all of these wires through. You'll want a snug fit because you don't want an air leak through there. I'll reach around the back side here and pull the wires through now. Here we can see the wires pulled through into the middle compartment here. And they got to go through one more wall to get into the electrical compartment. So I'm going to have to put in another grommet in this hole down here, and pass the wires through there too. Just add second grommet. Insert it into the hole there. And now we'll pass these wires into the wiring box here. Do a couple at a time here this time. All right. Alright, so I'm just going to work on advancing these wires in while keeping the grommet in place so we don't damage the wires. What's key is to make sure that the insulation on the wires isn't damaged by the sharp metal edges in that hole. So that's why we got to use that grommet. We really only need enough wire to do all of our connections here. So I think that will probably do the trick. The directions also say to crimp the disconnects onto the color-coded wires as indicated on the diagram here. So we've got a female disconnect on the red wire, male on the brown, male on the blue, female on the black, and female on the yellow. And they've showed which ones are female and which ones are male. But we'll do these, we'll crimp these connections as we do each wire. The next step says to trace the white wire from the compressor and find out where that wire ends up in the wiring compartment. So this is the white compressor wire here. It goes through, looks like plumber's putty here, along with the red wire. We'll give this a little pull and see what wire moves with it. And it looks like this is the wire here. So this is our compressor white wire. And it says to follow this to the C terminal of the run capacitor. Disconnect the white wire and connect it to the blue soft start wire. Alright, so that is the capacitor they're talking about. And there's the white wire coming into that capacitor. So we'll be disconnecting that white wire, that one right there, and we're going to connect that to the soft start blue wire. Okay, so here's the white wire I pulled off of that capacitor, and we need to connect that to the blue wire here. And to do that, we'll need to attach this male disconnect to this blue wire here. So let's pull this insulation off the end. And that's a little bit long, so we'll probably have to trim some of that off. With some wire cutters here. And we'll use a crimper to crimp that on. Okay, so we got a solid connection there. Blue wire to the white wire here. And I'm going to wrap this with some electrical tape too, just to make sure it doesn't short against anything. Alright, so we'll take some electrical tape here. Wrap this around here. Alright, that's connection number one, step one. Step two is to take this black wire and connect it to the terminal on the capacitor that the white wire was originally attached to. So for that, we're going to need to attach a female onto the end of this one here. Here is the female. Pull the insulation off, strip this, or cut it a little bit shorter here. And we'll crimp that. Make sure we get a good solid crimp there. Okay, now this is going to go back on that capacitor. There's really not a whole lot of room for me to show that to you on the video, but let me angle the camera up here a little bit. But I'll probably get my head in the way. It's going to go right back where it came off of though. There doesn't appear to be much room in where the capacitor attaches, so I'm going to have to cut off this insulation off the end of this female connect in order to be able to make sure that it's 100% seated on there. Okay, so now I've got basically a naked female. I'm going to put that on the capacitor now. Okay, that's on solid now. Alright, so now we got the black wire attached. I had to cut the insulation off of that female disconnect, but it's plugged into that capacitor now. Okay, so that's step number 2 completed. Step number 3 says connect the yellow soft start wire on a terminal next to the red compressor wire on a HERM terminal on the run capacitor. Alright, I'm zoomed in on that run capacitor, and there's actually 2 red wires going to that other terminal there, and there appear to be a couple extra connectors there, so we're going to attach the yellow soft start to one of those open connectors there. Okay, so now we can see we've got the 2 soft start wires, the black one here and the yellow one here next to the red ones. Now the instructions say if there is a second wire coming off the capacitor, and in this case there is one, you can kind of see it behind the connector we just attached. That red wire loops around and attaches to all of this stuff right over here. There's that red wire. All of this stuff here. And all this stuff ends up getting disconnected apparently. So it says to pull that back wire off and just let it drop, insulate it and drop it. Okay, so here's that third red wire that's on the start capacitor. It was actually connected to this gadget here, which is apparently a PTCR. Since the other end of this wire is really difficult to access in the back of that capacitor there, I'll just disconnect it from the PTCR, which is right up in front here and a lot easier to get at. That way if I have to uninstall this thing, it'll be a lot easier just to put this back on the PTCR. So I'm going to wrap this with electrical tape and we'll call that good too. That would be step number 4. Okay, step 5 says to follow the black compressor wire. So we'll pull on this and see what wiggles inside here. So this is the black compressor wire here. And it attaches to this relay up in front. This relay here, there's the attachment. Just to give you a better close-up view here. So here's that relay, and there's the black wire attaching right here with this blue insulator. So we're going to pull that off. That's step number 5. Okay. So black compressor wire is coming off the relay here. Alright, the instructions say this black compressor wire connects to the brown soft start wire. So we will need to attach a male to the brown wire here. Okay, so we've got our black compressor wire. It's got a female connector on it. We've got the male disconnect here and our brown wire here. We'll shorten this a little bit. Crimp on the male connector here. Looks like I've twisted this just slightly. Okay, now we're going to connect the black compressor wire to the brown soft start wire here. Alright, looks like a good solid connection there. Okay, and now step 6 says to attach the red soft start wire to the relay where we just took this black wire off. So we'll go ahead and attach a female disconnect to that red wire. Okay, and now this goes back on that relay. Okay, red wire is going on the relay. And in this case, there's enough room that I can get that down, leaving the insulation on there. Well, according to the directions, that's all we have to do as far as wiring connections inside the circuit box. So now we're just going to clean up the wires, tidy things up, and then we need to go inside to do some testing. The next step of the installation process requires restoring power to the air conditioner and then doing some testing. In order to do the testing, we'll need to see the status LEDs on the bottom of the SoftStartRV unit. So we need to lay this in the forward air conditioner compartment where we can see it from inside the RV. This is the forward compartment. This opening here leads into the RV. So I'm going to put this the soft start in here temporarily. I'm just going to lay it in like that so that the LEDs, which are on the bottom, I'll be able to look up through the opening and see the LEDs from below. Okay, now restoring AC power to the RV. We'll just plug our shore power cable back in. Alright, we're inside the RV. In order to see the status LEDs on this SoftStartRV, we're going to need to remove this cover here. So we'll start by taking off the air filters. Now actually, with just the air filters out, I can see up there. Just use a So with the air filter removed, I can actually see the soft start unit where I laid it up in the top here. Let me see if I can zoom us in and focus on it. Alright, there it is. So we can see the status LEDs. So we're going to go back and turn on the air conditioner following their directions. Okay, now that the wiring's all done, we have to go through the startup process. So the instructions here say turn power and AC breaker on, turn the fan on high for 1 minute, then turn the AC to auto cool, set the thermostat down to 55. Then go look at the soft start run LED, and the run LED light should be green. So let's go back and we'll turn the fan on first. Alright, here's our thermostat here. Turn the fan on high for 1 minute here. So right now it says off. We'll change this to fan high, and we'll let that come on and run for 1 minute. Okay. Next step is to set the air conditioner to auto cool. So we'll hit the mode button here. It's on cool. Cool high auto. And run the thermostat down to 55. We're at 55. Now we should go look at the stop start run LED light, and it should be green. And there is the green light on. Okay, so we saw the green light. The instructions say, after seeing the green light, turn the air conditioner off, replace all of the covers, and then turn the air conditioning back on, setting the thermostat near the current outside temperature, and allow the air conditioning to run for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you can operate the normal soft start. You can operate as normal, as the soft start has learned what it needs. So, looks like we just have to put everything back together. The trickiest part of getting this all taken apart and put back together again is this front corner here. Here's the inside of that front corner. They've cut this at a slight bevel and cut out the shoulder here, but you still have to kind of tuck this into a very tight clearance here. It helps to lift this up, put that in, and then slide it forward so that you can get the holes aligned up here. And then once you've got the holes aligned, we just need to put that sheet metal screw in here and secure that. I'm going to mount this soft start in this compartment in the corner here, but in order to make it fit, looks like I might have to trim just... Yeah, let's see if I can put it in here. There we go. I'm just going to jam it right in there. So we'll still be able to see the LED lights from inside if we pull out the filters. And it looks like there's a little bit of wiggle room in there, so I think I'll get some foam and just pat it around it so it won't rattle. These wires, I guess, can just be tucked in. Those will help prevent rattling too, I guess. I'm going to put some tape on the inside of this metal here because it looks like it's going to potentially chafe the wire insulation. So I'll put some tape along here. Alright, it's got 2 coats of electrical tape on that side there. Stop start is kind of tucked in there. Okay, so we've got the soft start tucked into this little corner here. It's actually just below the wiring grommet here. And I've got it held in place just basically by jamming it in there. There's some foam underneath it that's pushing it upwards, and a piece of foam here pushing it backwards. There's really no room for wiggling in there, so that should be adequate. Now if you really wanted to, you could drill a hole in the side of the air conditioner case and secure it through the holes that are provided in the soft start. Or I suppose you could even thread it through the opening down there and mount it somewhere else. But this seems to be a spot where it's not interfering with the airflow and should work fine. This front panel just inserts under here, flips down. There's a screw on this end and a screw on this end here. And then we'll seal the top with some fresh aluminum tape. Okay, that's all sealed up. Actually, we got to take this screw out in order to put this piece underneath the top here. Okay, that's all put together. Alright, this sheet metal screw's got a washer on it. And that's that. Okay viewers, we now have the SoftStartRV hooked up to our air conditioner. The RV is currently plugged into a 20 amp garage circuit rather than the 30 amp RV circuit. And as you may be able to hear in the background, the air conditioner is running. I have it set on maximum cooling, and the temperature probe up here is currently reading 49 degrees and dropping 48 degrees. The outside temperature is 59 degrees, so if we can drop that by 20 degrees, that'd be 39 degrees. Get the cool air coming from the air conditioner at 39 degrees. We know that the air conditioner is fully functional. We're at 47 degrees so far. I'm going to have a look and see if we can see the soft start indicator light. And I see the green light is on in there, so the soft start is actually working right now. So there's the soft start light turned on, looking through the air intake part of this air conditioner here. There's a fair bit of air leaking around the temperature sensor when it was mounted directly on the air conditioner. So I've moved it over to a duct right over here, and now I've got the cold air blowing directly through the duct, and our sensor is now reading 33 degrees. So it looks like the air conditioner is functioning, and it's running on less than 20 amps. So I would have to say that our SoftStartRV installation was successful. Well, as advertised, the SoftStartRV actually allows our air conditioner to run on just a 20 amp circuit. Also, as advertised, it took about an hour to do the install. It took me a little bit longer because I had to set up the camera to try to record everything. But there was nothing too terribly difficult about the install. I did run into a little bit of trouble with tight clearances around the top of the capacitor, so I had to cut the insulation off the outside of the female disconnect in order to make it fit properly. But other than that, everything went according to the directions. And the directions weren't too terribly hard to follow. Basically, just 6 or 7 steps. I would say that this does require a fair bit of metal because you have to get up on the roof of the RV. And the RV, being sprung weight, tends to rock a little bit when you're up there on top. So if you're kind of leery of heights, you may want to pay somebody to do this, but it looks like you wouldn't have to pay for more than about an hour, maybe an hour and a half's worth of labor. When I first went to the SoftStartRV website, they did not list the particular model number for my circuit board. I submitted a support ticket, and in less than 12 hours they came back to me with a new wiring diagram and directions. So the customer support, or the technical support for SoftStartRV, seems to be quite good. All in all, I'd say that this was a successful project. If you found this to be useful, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.